Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. Well, did the first Ghostbusters. Might as well do the second one. So, Ghostbusters 2. Got the steelbook back there. In the River of Slime! Yes. So, I can understand some frustration with this movie. I really do. But I don't get why. Like, I can see why people have frustrations, but to outright hate it, and some say it's still the worst one, even though that there's the 2016 one, which I would still say is the worst. Though I wasn't a big fan of Frozen Empire, but you know, it is what it is, and you know. This coming out in 1989, 5 years after the first one. And if you wonder what took so long, well, the initial thought was that the head of Columbia Pictures, David Putnam, was the one who was behind the prolonged development of this movie. But actually, no, it was not. He wanted to go straight into a sequel. No one else wanted to make this movie. Not Bill Murray, not Dan Aykroyd, not Ivan Reitman, not the... Why did I lose his name? Harold Ramis. Sorry. No one wanted to make it. But he pushed on it. And, but... Even Ivan Reitman said it wasn't Putnam's fault. There was so much in there. Bill Murray had quit acting after a personal film that he had done and had just returned shortly before Ghostbusters 2 to do Scrooged, a personal favorite of mine. What the fuck is that? It's over my ear, man. What the heck? Anyway, that was weird. Yeah. And apparently, and this has been a thing, why there was never a third one. As co-creators, Reitman, Murray, Aykroyd, and Ramis all had control over the franchise. And it had to be unanimous for them to do it. Unanimous approval. This is why the third one never happened. Because Bill Murray always said, no, I'm going to go golfing now. Yeah. So they did this one. Eventually. Yes, it was put in April 1987, the year I was born. Putnam announced that Ghostbusters 2 would go into production in November of that year. But the script wasn't even finished yet. Yeah, then Putnam was removed from his job in September of that year and was replaced by Don Steele. Yeah, apparently Putnam did not care for Bill Murray. And went after him, calling him a taker. He makes money from Hollywood without giving it back to his art. He alienated Murray and his talent agent, Michael Ovitz, who also represented everyone else in there, Aykroyd, Ramis, and Reitman, which caused issues. When Don Steele took the position, her corporate bosses made it clear that the sequel was a priority, and because Columbia had experienced a long series of box office failures after Ghostbusters, so Ghostbusters 2 was seen as a way to reverse that. So by November, filming was scheduled to begin summer, I'm assuming of '88. At the time, Murray reportedly wanted $10 million to star in the sequel, and his co-stars said, us too. So that was no problem. There was disputes on and off between them. You see why it was pushed so much. Eventually, Ovitz, their agent, arranged a private lunch for them. And they had so much fun, they decided, yeah, let's just do the movie. Yeah, they had to actually negotiate a minimal salary in exchange for a percentage of the box office profits. The deal was supposed to be 10% of the box office each. And Reitman denied that the figure was that large, but said it's a big one. This was to keep the budget low, aiming for approximately $30 million, whereas upfront salaries would have raised it closer to $50 million. After this, the film was rushed into production. Didn't I say this was over $100 million? This was that was the 30 to 40 million. I think it was the 2016 one that I said the other one was. So eventually, they all agreed to do the movie. Then became the writing stage. Aykroyd's original idea wanted to move away from New York City, and in contrast to a climax in a skyscraper, move it subterranean, where Dana Barrett is kidnapped and taken to Scotland, where she discovers a fairy ring, and that fairy ring which was used in the Doctor Who episode 37 yards. 73 yards? 73 yards, whatever. Natural occurring ring or arc of mushrooms, sometimes linked to folklore, fairies, witches with an underground civilization. The Ghostbusters would have travel through an underground pneumatic tube over 2,000 miles long that would take 3 days to traverse. He eventually decided that retaining the New York setting would offer continuity and would fit a better story he wanted to tell, while allowing them to explore underground. They do underground stuff too, yeah. Yes. So Aykroyd and Ramis, partnered to refine the script. And so they decided early on they wanted it to reflect the 5 years passage of time. Ramis wanted the baby to be involved. So remember that? Harold Ramis was one who wanted the baby to be in this because he did a horror movie. He wanted to develop a horror movie. He already had developed a horror movie concept that had centered on an infant who was possessed by an adult agility and focus. So this is how we got Oscar. The child was supposed to be the son of Peter Venkman and Dana, which everyone wanted, who would have maintained the relationship in the film in the intervening years. The child would have become possessed as a focal point of the film. Now, here's where you're going to point your fingers. Here's where you throw your tomatoes. Because those of you who said, well, they should have stayed together and that baby should have been theirs. I said that before myself when I first watched this. Murray felt this created an imbalance in the story, so it's Bill Murray's fault, placing too much emphasis on his and Dane's relationship with the child rather than the Ghostbusters and their character dynamics. Instead, they chose to have Peter and his relationship fail, allowing her to marry, have a child, and be divorced by the events of Ghostbusters. Yeah, so she dated Peter. They broke up. She found someone else, and in that time got married, had a baby. All in 5 years. Bullshit. I've heard of whirlwind relationships, but that is just no. 5 years? I can see if they jumped 10 years to 1994. I could see that. 5 years? Come on. And then, for more blaming of, repeating stuff, Ramis wanted to show that the Ghostbusters had not remained heroes after their victory in a previous film, and he felt that would have been less an original approach. Less original. Having them be heroes still would have been less original. So having them need to be built up again, like in the first film, is original. Ruined Slime was conceived earlier in the collaboration. Ramis wanted the slime of New York to represent moral issue caused by the buildup of negative human emotions in large cities. We could kind of go through this immediately. What if everyone in New York had to be nice for 48 hours? Aykroyd said they wanted to show negativity has to go somewhere, potentially into the person the emotion is directed towards. In May 1987, Aykroyd and Ramis have been working for over a year and had completed the script by March 1988. In the years since the release of the more adult-oriented Ghostbusters, its animated spin-off television series, The Real Ghostbusters, have become popular with its target child audience. The team was tasked with balancing the needs of the Ghostbusters fans and those of the cartoon's audience. According to MedJuck, the cartoon's success was influential in the return of Slimer for the sequel. They didn't do jack with Slimer, but they were supposed to. We'll get to that. A contradiction to cartoon where they aim to avoid contradicting the cartoon where possible. He said, although the Ghostbusters have been out of work for 5 years, they had to act as though the cartoon's events took place after the film. So Egon dyed his hair blonde and dyed it back to being brown before the events of this movie, right? And then the time that the show... Oh, but the show went... How long did the show go on for, by the way, if we're doing this? $1991. So if the show is said to be canon, we're to say that the first Ghostbusters movie happened. There is some canon to that. As one of the first episodes of the show is them getting rid of the suits, and the suits has like evil people in it. This is what explains they have the new suits, which aren't in this movie. And Egon apparently dyed his hair blonde, then dyed it back brown for this, then dyed it blonde again for the rest of the cartoon. Apparently it's canon. As for casting, before we get into talking about... Here. For the character of Janos Poha, portrayed by Peter McNichol, was originally called Jason and serves as a straight man to the Ghostbusters. Wow, if that was supposed to be the thing, he is far from a straight man in this. McNichol said the role could be played by anyone, so he opted to give Poha a backstory, which he's a Carpathian. That also does not come through. He is never once depicted as Carpathian. He's just some weird guy that gets possessed. He developed an accent from his Czech friend and from observations at a Roman tourist agency. McNichol wanted to wear a black Beatles wig, but the idea was rejected because most of the cast had dark hair. The character's accent was inspired by that of Meryl Streep in Sophie's Choice. In the script, Poha is not described as having an accent, but McNichol impressed Reitman with that addition. Max von Sydow, may rest in peace, provided the voice of Vigo. He completed his recordings in a single day. Von Homburg, the guy who played Vigo physically, reportedly only learned his voice had been dubbed with von Stedow's while watching the premiere and stormed out afterwards. He later said his slurred voice, which was caused by a split lip, had been a hindrance in his securing his acting work. Here's the one. So there are a couple of subplots in this movie that were cut. Lewis was supposed to be chasing around Slimer in the firehouse with Janine, and part of that would have been introducing Lewis's cousin Sherman, played by Eugene Levy, who is an employee at the psychiatric ward where the Ghostbusters are in prison, apparently. No, that was a different... Okay. The character was instrumental in their liberation, but his scenes were cut. Also, thinking of the continuity, they must have re-filmed scenes because, like, I don't recall, they're in his house, and then Dana runs after to the museum, and he puts on the Ghostbusters uniform. So, yeah, there's your background on this. So let's get into the movie. 13 minutes in, the movie tells you right away that this takes place 5 years later by the big words going 5 years later. You start in New York City. Well, yeah, you expected maybe the Addams Family. That's not even... Anyway, yeah, Dana Barrett is walking her baby down the street in a stroller thingy. Basket with wheel, I don't know. And she's talking to her building superintendent. As she pushes him through, it goes through some slime. Some pink slime. So, then the slime... Now, it's never really explained if the argument... Because, like, there's people arguing, and then it starts to roll. Because it's later explained that, like, anger fuels it. So, like, negativity fuels it. So, like, is it their argument that allows Vigo to take control and move it into the middle of the street? Now, they established here that it was heading for the middle of the street, and that's where the Ghostbusters find where the river of slime conjoins. But why for is it going there and not taking it to the museum? Only thing I could think of is that, well, they couldn't take the baby to the museum because, one, Vigo had not been brought up yet, which is a very important thing, that this scene happens before Vigo was brought up, which is what wakes him up. But yeah. Also, bringing him to the museum would have made it obvious that something was going on at the museum, and they didn't want to do that yet. No, but this establishes that Dana has a baby. She is single. She's now single, and you're meant to think it's Venkman's, but you later find out it's not. And like I said, this is because Bill Murray didn't want it to be his baby. But then the excuse they have where she dated Peter right afterwards, dumped him, got with this new guy, got married, got pregnant, he took off, and they don't even give a good excuse for it. Oh, when the orchestra left, he decided to go with them or some shit. Like, what? That's not even... that's the lamest way to make an excuse for a character not being around. Like, who is it? And from the dialogue, it feels like maybe it was that guy. I don't know. I don't know. But, and it's also a weird transition because it goes in the middle of the road. She picks him up. She's like, oh, and then we get I'm just like, in contrast to the first one where a ghost shows up, scares the heck out of someone, then you get a transition. Here it's like, baby, stroller, oh no, not really a clean. I mean, the 2016 film had a cleaner opening than this. This is all because, and like I said when I was reading to the thing, that they wanted this to be more like the show. The baby was added by Ramis, but they decided they had to be less vulgar than the first one. It means no swearing, no smoking. There is some darker stuff, like the scene where they're in the tunnels and those things come out and that Winston. That's fucking scary. And like I said, when I was a kid, I was scared of shit of Vigo. Alright? We are like the buzzing of flies to him, and he will swat at us until we're dead. Okay? So, I'm just saying. Well, we then follow the Ecto-1 cruising to somewhere, and it's a child's birthday party. Not just any child's birthday party. Jason Reitman's birthday party. I assume it's his. Mary Ellen Trainor is also there, which leads me to think that Robert Zemeckis was involved in this somehow. I don't see his name anywhere, but I don't know. Usually when she's around. And so, I think people have pointed this out, but these kids being a fan of He-Man in 1989 makes no sense, because apparently the version of He-Man that was on TV was far from the popular version from the mid-80s. Apparently he had like ponytail and shit, and it was like a soft reboot thing that they tried. Well, I'd just take a popular cartoon and try to reboot it while the cartoon's still on the air. I don't know. Like, say, put the focus on some goofy side character. Wait, that was the real Ghostbusters. Anyway, yeah, they're all cheering for He-Man. Ninja Turtles are out, dude. Say that. Come on. This is 89. Turtles were very popular at this point. I mean, come on. But, there's where the Addams Family joke should have went. And He-Man? You were expecting maybe the Addams Family? Anyway. So yeah, and then we get this kid, Jason Reitman. He's like, my dad said you're full of crap. Well, there's a lot of non-believers out there. No, my dad said you're full of crap, and that's why you went out of business. So they're out of business. And then we find out, okay. We conjured up a 10-foot, whatever, Marshmallow Man blew the top four floors off of a high rise and got sued by every city, county, and state in New York. This line, said by Winston, makes no sense once you get to the court trial later. Just saying. So, Dana Barrett brings her problems. By the way, where's the baby here? Babysitter, maybe? She's got a nanny, I guess, right? To Egon, who is foreshadowing stuff as his tests are a negative and positive. He's testing to see if negativity can spread beyond just the person, but throughout the room, I guess. Where he has his assistant go in, and there's a married couple who thinks they're there for marriage counseling, and his assistant comes in and asks if they can wait another 30 minutes, and they start to freak out. And positive reinforcement is in the other room where they give a puppy to a little girl, and then in the most evil of ways, Egon says, "Let's see what happens when you take the puppy away." And he says that he will have Ray. He'd like to bring Ray in to check up on this, and she says, "Okay, but no Peter." No Peter. Ray has an occult bookstore, which comes back later. And he and Egon are there, and they're checking on stuff. Peter is hosting a TV show, World of the Psychic, where we get more foreshadowing as Shia LaBeouf's dad from Transformers says that the world's going to end on New Year's Eve in 1989. Where, is it 88? Is it supposed to be 88? Is that what it is, going into 89? I don't know. Where the woman on the other side says that the person who roofied her told her the world was going to end on February 14th, 2016. Yeah, listen to her story. She was roofied. She was drugged, and the guy told her some stupid story. And then, did stuff. Just listen to her story. Yeah. It's after this that he shows up at Ray's bookstore because he ordered a book on kittens or something. What's his name with kittens? A cat. I do like his outro. He's like, "This is Peter Venkman saying, see you next time." So, watching it this time, so Ray said they're doing a favor for a friend. And Peter immediately somehow knows it's Dana. He's like, who? Who? He gets a phone call. Ray's a call? Yeah, We did. Ray, huh? Who? Nah, Dana Barrett. Like, what if he's like, nah, Lenny! It's Lenny the mayor! Oh. The only other answer that would have made sense why it's the whole thing is, it's Peck! It's Walter Peck! Peck? You know what he did to us, right? It's his fault that we had to get a new roof for where the containment unit is. And you're going to work with him? Actually, that would have been interesting. That would have been something to explore, actually. What if there's this paranormal thing that happened, and Peck's the one that has to go to them? Why did that never happen? He realizes that maybe they were telling the truth. By the way, at this point, no one believes that the ghosts exist, which is bullshit. There was a giant marshmallow man. Everyone was praising the Ghostbusters at the end. No, didn't exist. Nothing. No, which doesn't make sense later, but anyway. So they show up at Dana's apartment with Peter, who tries to tell jokes to the baby. "You're right, senor." I was like that line, no. Or was that later? Whatever. So they say they're going to check it out, and they go to the middle of the thing where they find a river of slime, and which Ray almost gets attacked by, but he swings around and knocks out all the power in New York City. You know you can do that. And they get arrested. They have a trial where Winston is there. I repeat, Winston is there. That'll be important in a minute. Knowing that it was those four Ramis, Murray, Aykroyd, and Reitman that had a stock in this makes it much more clear why Winston is always pushed to the back. Anyway, we'll get there. And we have the judge, played by, is it Yule? No, not Yulbrun. Harris Yulin, who says this: the court does not acknowledge the existence of ghosts. Really? So if you don't acknowledge the existence of ghosts, how can they get sued? How can you sue them for conjuring a marshmallow man you do not believe in? Right? I'm just saying. Also, it kind of makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, hey, this is New York City. New York City. It's like after it happened, did the Man in Black just go on everyone? While the Ghostbusters, Dana, Annie Potts, and Rick Moranis weren't looking. Is that it? Right? I don't know. We also have Dana, who's working at the museum because she left her orchestra or something. I don't know. And she's touching up paintings because you can just leave one profession that has nothing to do with that and go to another one that has nothing to do with that. I guess. If you want, but she's a musician and now she's touching up art. They bring in the Vigo, and Janos wants it bad. Like, he wants it bad. Oh, that night, while he's touching up Vigo, he gets electrocuted. Woo, 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 woo. And then gets stabbed by Vigo. Bring me a child so that I can live on. Child? Oh, when he gets stabbed, it's wow! That's what he does. Yeah, so now he is possessed by Vigo. And then in there, I remind you, you are the buzzing of flies to him. So, yes. So, of course, because he's in love with Dana, or infatuated with Dana, he chooses Oscar. This is before the thing. According to this, it's before that. But anyway, so it's the court case. That's right, the court case. I was in another court case and I jumped to somewhere else. So, well, I needed to go back to that anyway because this is, So, in the court case, the judge basically starts yelling and going nuts. And I do like how the guy, I don't like it, but the guy's like, I've never seen that stuff before. Whatever it is, they put it there. Really? They put a giant moving river of slime down there. Pray tell how. Well, we're waiting. It's another Amos script. Yeah. So now, the judge's yelling brings forth the Scolari brothers. Not the Scolari brothers! They're trying for murder! Give him the chair! They're not allowed to do their job, which the judge revokes. So they suit up. That's right, all the Ghostbusters suit up. Peter, Ray, Egon, that's it. Everybody clears out, including Winston for some reason. Even with them being... So even knowing that they're in charge of this franchise, it still makes no sense that, if anything, don't show that Winston was there. Say that Winston was late to the trial and that's why he wasn't there when this happened. But you show Winston talking to them and then he runs off with the rest of the people. Also, yes, Tully is the lawyer, but he is not a lawyer. He's an accountant. So I don't know how he's even legal to be there, but okay. So they take care of the Scolari brothers. with a beautiful Ghostbusters. Everything's back. We get a montage, which inherently makes it like Christmas in between here somehow. Yeah. Dana goes to put Oscar down into the tub, but I remember this also freaked me out as a kid. This tub of slime that when I got older realized is just a puppet. It's a puppet. It's very obviously a puppet, but scared the hell out of me as a kid because water comes down, and then you got the turn to slime. Gets creepy. Then I get a sexual awakening when I see Sigourney Weaver in a bra. Then it gets creepy when the thing launches up. Oh yeah. I sounded like Kramer. Oh yeah. Giddy up. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Giddy up. Anyway, yeah. 10-year-old Scotty went, oh. She don't have to be my mother, but still. Oh. Then Vigo said, ah! I remember watching this at my cousin's house in Missouri. In Missouri. And the big head scaring me. Sitting there watching it. Freaky. But they had a nice house, dude, like a double story. More of a double story. It was a nice house. I wish I could live in that house. It was a nice house, dude. But anyway, well, it wasn't his house yet. There's his grandparents' house, but still. Everyone stayed there. It was nice. A nice big house. It was. So they run to the only place they could go. Venkman's. Yeah, despite wanting nothing to do with Venkman, that's the first place she goes to. Remember when she said, not Venkman. No, not Venkman. That he's the first one who goes. And she's still in her bra. Yep. Oh, yeah. Hey, you saw the bottom half of aliens, you get to see the top, or an alien, you get to see the top half here, right? Just put those middle pictures together. There you go. Anyway, so he said they could stay there, despite the fact that they have nothing. That Ray, Egon, and Winston go there later and get some of the slime. We also see them experimenting with the slime, putting it in a toaster, making it dance to Jackie Wilson. Your love lifting me higher than I ever been lifted before. Using a... Now, the one that always makes me scratch my head is that supposed to be... Because, like, the thing works on naughty or nice. It's like Santa Claus. So is Jackie nice? I'm assuming. Like, it's supposed to elevate niceness, happiness, right? Peter eventually works his way into a date with Dana while having Janine babysit for them, along with Lewis, who comes along because now he and Janine have a thing for each other. Hey, they're both nerds. Have them make out or something. Which honestly could have made more sense with the Slimer subplot if, like, he saved her and that's what made her attractive to him. Excuse me. Whereas in the first one she was all over Egon, and now it's just like, no, I want this nerd now. And there's like nothing to indicate why she moved away from Egon, because he's not with anyone. Though, according to Afterlife, he would have already met the person he had his daughter with by this point. According to Carrie Coon's age. Carrie Coon, 44. So now, she was born in January. She's not quite 45 yet. So she's 44. And in when this come out? 2021. Minus 4, she'd have been 41. That's 4 years. She's been 41, 40, 41-ish. Which would have put her 2021, 2001, 91, 1981. No, she would have been born before the first Ghostbusters movie. Wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. She's supposed to be younger, I guess, but it still would have put her... If she was supposed to be, say, my age now, 38. Right? 38, 37, 38. Now, my age now. That would have put her... 85? I guess. I don't know. No, it doesn't say. What is all this shit? Get back to the plot. Am I on the right page? Alright. There's one person I've yet to talk about, and that is Jack Niedermeyer. Kurt Fuller. Jack Hardemeyer. Excuse me. Hardemeyer. Diet Peck, as I call him. He is a totally unnecessary character. Because while Peck had a sort of a reason to go after the Ghostbusters, he was first convinced that they're a danger because of what they use for the power grid. And then he was convinced that they were somehow affecting the environment or a danger to people in New York. This guy just doesn't like them. Hardemeyer just doesn't like him. Like when Peter sees Lenny for the first time in this movie, he's just like, nah. The mayor doesn't have anything to do with you, the ghost, give it up. It's like, he is just villain. He's just bad guy. Peck had a point to him. This guy is just bad guy for sake of being bad guy, and doesn't have anything plot other than to stretch it out. Literally. Like, there's a point, they figure out what's going on, what they need to do, but then are arrested and then sent to a mental institution because of Hardemeyer. Right? It's like, they go on a date, and the other three, they go down into the subterranean area. You get the spooky thing with the Winston, and then the spooky stuff, right? You see? And then they fall on the river of slime, and they get angry at each other, realizing that the slime is making them negative towards each other. They take off their clothes in their underwear, long johns, which are also hit with the slime, but somehow doesn't matter. Yeah, some of them still have slime on them, but I guess it doesn't matter. They run straight to the restaurant. They somehow know what restaurant Venkman is at with Dana. Run in. And again, like Winston had a point in the first one. I wasn't even there. Here, Venkman gets arrested too. And he's like not even doing anything. He's sitting there having dinner and they come in and start rushing in. They're both brought to Lenny, who orders them to be arrested. But then Hardemeyer has they're dismissed in what they try to and when they try to tell Hardemeyer, we can tell Lenny, Slime Square, and instead of telling Lenny, I call him Lenny. Hardemeyer has him committed to a psychiatric hospital to protect the mayor's political interests. Oh yeah. Janos appears as a ghost somehow and kidnaps Oscar. Yeah, and a scene that got me, because I'm afraid of heights, the baby crawling on the ledge, and then she has to go out and get him. And then Janos just shows up like an evil ghost Mary Poppins and grabs him. Yeah. Dana knows they're going to the museum, so she runs after him, which is then covered with the impenetrable slime. So it's New Year's Eve now, so that Shia LaBeouf's dad from Transformers was right. That's all happened. All this stuff is going on, all the widespread panic, Titanic, everything. The mayor orders the Ghostbusters, and Otto says, can't do that. They're in a psychiatric hospital. So in this version, they do eventually get out of there instead of the other plot. It just kind of makes sense, too. They try to use the proton pack on the slime, which doesn't work. They later say they have positively charged slime, which they use on the Statue of Liberty. So why not cover the negative slime with positively charged slime? And it's positively charged, so it would be more malleable to break. It would positively charge the other slime, right? I don't know. It's just an idea. You need a symbol of hope. I do like when it's like a giant Jello mode. I hate Jello. Oh, come on, everybody loves Jello. I like Jello. You know you got the Jello because no, Bill Cosby, go away. But the Jello with the pudding pop, no, go. No, I will not drink that. Anyway, so they decide to use the Statue of Liberty. Like I said, we see all these ghost things, including the Titanic. And one of my favorite lines in this by Cheech Marine, well, better late than never. Was Jack on there? And how is the Titanic a ghost? Hunter object, I guess? I don't know. Statue of Liberty walks through and everyone is cheering. And this is where it becomes positive. Because they're playing Jackie Wilson. They're playing not Jackie Wilson, but the new version for the soundtrack. Your love is lifting me higher than I ever. Yeah, that version. Smashes through. They slide through. Peter yells, Happy New Year! And, stops Ego from possessing Oscar, but Vigo takes a physical form. Yes. And doesn't speak at all during this. We get the smile that he does, and I like this guy, Von Homburg, what's his name? I've seen him in this and in The Mouth of Madness. That's it that I've seen him in. Where is it? I went the wrong way, that's why. Wilhelm von Homburg. It's Vigo the Carpathian. Yes. Oh, and Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray's brother, plays a psychiatric doctor. Oh, the little girl that they give money to is Ivan Reitman's daughter. Catherine Wright. Oh! That daughter! Okay. I didn't put two and two together until I saw her picture. I knew about her, but oh yeah, and Bobby Brown. Bobby the Brain Heenan. Bobby Brown is the doorman who wants a proton pack for his little brother, which no. But let's just say Bobby Brown's not good at making decisions. Best. I went too far. So he wraps Dana in a tube thing and incapacitates the Ghostbusters, and is going to take Oscar's form, but he's already in physical form now, so I don't know. He's not fully. Oh yes, I forgot about this other deleted thing. We'll get to it. So he's sent back into the painting, and the Ghostbusters are freed, but Vigo possesses Ray, which is part of a deleted subplot. So earlier on in the film, where they're at the sucking the guy's Sucking the guts guys for Ghostbusters, which I skipped over actually. Sucking the guts guys for Ghostbusters. Hey, Dr. Venkman, Dana is not here. Yeah, we know that, Charlie. Then why are you came? Ray gets mesmerized. And there's a scene during the montage before that scene where Ray is driving erratically and you see Peter go. That's because Ray was supposed to be possessed earlier on in the film and lead to a subplot where he's driving crazy, acting weird. That was cut. And so all we have is this at the end where he goes nuts. And it's really nothing. No, I, Ray, and Figo shall conquer the... Hit him. And they just shoot their friend with the positively charged goo, which they've already shot Janos with. Will you hose him, please? Hose him. You are like the buzzing of flies to him. Will you hose him, please? Hose him. And then get back into the painting, and they just hit him with the proton beam until he explodes. And the painting turns into one of the Ghostbusters and the baby for some reason. And I do like the end here. Dr. V, why am I dripping with goo? Like, you had a paranormal experience or something. You know something? I love you, man. Oh, yeah? Well, I love you too. Ghostbusters! Again, it just abruptly ends. Oh, there's also a subplot with Tully, which would have connected to a subplot with Slimer, where he's supposed to chase him around the firehouse. We only get one scene where he comes upon him in the firehouse, and here he puts on a Ghostbuster suit, he runs off. It's not a car, apparently. Goes to the bus stop, and Slimer's driving the bus. Oh, it's you! Which means nothing, because they deleted that subplot too. And he shows up, and even though we just saw, and all the people there saw, that they couldn't break through it with Proton Pack, I'm here with you guys, and he does it with the Proton Pack while they're in there defeating Vigo. They defeat Vigo, the slime barrier thing, the jello disappears. Everyone starts cheering for Lewis. I did it! I'm a Ghostbuster! One of the people said, actually, that didn't do shit. They must have finished beating him in there, but whatever. Yeah. Ghostbusters! Yeah, and apparently Peter and Dan are still together according to Afterlife, but it is what it is. And yeah, but not only that, we get a Ghostbusters theme, we get the credits rolling, and then halfway through that, we get too hot to handle, too cold to hold. To call the Ghostbusters and we're in control. Well, I guess we're gonna have to take control. Ooh. I love that song by Bobby Brown. It's not better than My Prerogative, though, but it's a pretty good song. I like his music. Not the person, just the music. And his cameo in here is pretty funny, too. But there it is. Ghostbusters 2. And god damn it, it's pretty good. I don't see how anyone can hate this. The only reason that anyone would hate this is if they're so set. Like if they're one of those that say every Ghostbusters, the first one sucks. Well, then you just don't get the franchise. Because the franchise evolved beyond what the first film was. Before this movie even came out, it was the cartoon. Which, by the way, everyone universally loves. A lot of people, a lot of kids grew up with, and they loved it. I grew up with the reruns. So by the time I was able to be sentient and knows what's going on, it was up. But I saw the reruns on Fox Family and stuff like that. I watched it on syndication. I do prefer Extreme Ghostbusters, but that's just because it's like Beast Wars to me. That's my Transformers. That's my Ghostbusters. Well, I grew up with these, but still. And I always wanted, because after this, they wanted to make 3. Bill Murray said no. Then like, well, we're going to do another one. We're going to pass on our knowledge of Ghostbusting to a new a new generation like, yeah, hey, there you go, get Harold Ramis to come back, and you could do Extreme Ghostbusters, and Harold Ramis died. Like, you could still do it with Dan Aykroyd. He was just a much of brain. You could just do it with Ray, because the movie version of Ray was more of a genius than the Ray in the cartoon. He was just the schlubby guy in the cartoon. He wasn't. He has a PhD, but they made him schlubby guy in the cartoon. So Egon was the only smart one. And actually, that's not even true. You look at the four; they're all a part of this. The four of them each have a part to play. Peter's the wit, the comedy, the comedian, the ha-has. Ray's the brains. I know, you know, what about Egon? We'll get there. Ray's the brains. Winston, and don't say he's the driver, because that's no, though he does drive a lot. He's the muscle. He is. And if Afterlife has taught us anything, it's that Egon was the heart of the Ghostbusters. Right? When everyone said he was crazy, when everyone said he was wrong, he kept going. He didn't stop until he died. That's hard. I'm just saying. So yeah. What are your thoughts on Ghostbusters 2? Don't forget so much to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Closes. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.